Georgie, we are back with another video.
Second episode with this new
Second
format.
episode.
We're
Yeah, I
just
like it.
cranking them out at this point.
I know, I like it. This is good. This for whatever reason, this just seems a little bit more casual than the podcast. I don't know why, because we're always
Yeah.
pretty chill during the podcast.
Yeah.
But I
I
mean,
mean,
we
this
could
is
kind
just
of
it's just a conversation, we're just chilling, just vibing
sure.
at midnight. Again, the time doesn't change, but everything else is different.
So let's go into the topic for today or for this video is our boy Ruud van Nistelrooy
No, your
finally
boy.
get my
Not
boy.
yeah,
He's our
that's
boy.
he's not my boy.
I like
N-
him.
I hate him.
Why do you hate him?
But he played for
Because
Manchester
he's at
United.
Manchester United. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
come on. I
he's a
just
good lad though. He's one of those guys you can't really hate. He seems like a really nice guy. Let's be honest.
nah, he's a twat. No, I'm joking. I don't know.
uh, he
Yeah,
seems
he's
like a good guy.
yeah.
I felt bad when they sacked him essentially at Manchester
Yeah.
United when Ruben came in, and it's kind of shitty the way they do that because like Ruben knew from the start he wasn't going to have Ruud as part of his staff. Ruud stayed there literally until the day that Ruben Amorim flew in because Manchester United needed somebody to handle the trainings and all that stuff until Ruben got there. But it's kind of shitty because it's like, yeah, just wait until he gets here, then you guys can have a conversation. And then when he gets, he's sorry, mate, you're not in my plans. And then he's like, all right, whatever. You could have told me that a week ago or whatever. Fair
It's the
enough.
hope. It's the hope that kills you.
Sure, but it's frustrating.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
nonetheless, he got sacked. Props to him because he did the best possible job he could have done in the short amount of time that he had Manchester United. And because of that, he got the opportunity to sign now as the head coach, as the new manager for Leicester, after they fired your boy, Steve
Oh,
Cooper.
hell no.
He's
I
definitely your boy.
I have no idea how this man was even in charge. Him and Sean Dyche, I don't know how you go into a season thinking I'm gonna put my $1 billion, well, not billion, but hundreds of $1 million team into the hands of Steve Cooper or Sean Dyche. I don't know. At this point, just give me the job. I'll do probably
Sure.
the same exact thing as them.
I'm with you. I am with you.
I just,
But it ultimately, it in the end, they're no longer there. That's the reason why they've been sacked because they're just terrible managers. So Ruud does a good job, gets himself into this position. He is now the new manager. Before we get into kind of what the outlook is for that, I want to call out Leicester on some bullshit. I am going to call them fake.
damn.
This is the fakest moment I've seen. I hate this. I hate this shit. It pisses me off, and I'll tell you why. When they sign someone, players or whatever, typically what happens, they'll do like a signing video, right? Like they'll show them in the locker room, things like that. They did a video announcing Ruud van Nistelrooy, and they made it look like he flew to Leicester to their grounds and stuff like that, and like he just came in and he signed the contract and stuff. So they put like stock footage of like a flight. They put stock footage of like the terminals or whatever to make it look like he was traveling. They never actually showed him at the airport, and then at the end they show him like signing a contract as if he's like in the office at Leicester. But if you look closely, it looks like just a regular room. I think what they did was he was in I think he was in he must have been in Amsterdam, maybe wherever he is, wherever he's at. Probably, I think he was in the Netherlands somewhere, and they couldn't have flown him out quickly enough to get the video out, so they just put together a little video to make it look like he's there, and then at the end he's just signing from his home office. Because they also did a video that day where somebody like is asking him questions, but it looks like he's just like in his backyard. So anyway, I just think it's bullshit. It's like, don't announce the manager like he's already at the facility, like he's already gotten there and everything, when he's just at home signing a blank piece of paper.
Dang. They've been caught. I
They've
didn't
been
even pay
caught.
attention to that, to be honest. I
Go
was just
go
saying,
back on the go back in their Instagram after this and look at that video, and you'll see that he's never actually in any of the facilities, and it's just so close up to his face that you don't see any of the background really, other than it looks like maybe he's like in a room where it's just like his office or something like that.
that's so stupid. Why not just wait until he actually does it so you
Because
can make a better.
they needed to get the announcement out.
I mean, it was leaked. Like everybody kind of knew that it's gonna be. It was either Rude or Moyes, and supposedly Moyes said no. I don't know how true that is, but and then Rude was the only option really. So I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
they're like all the Twitter ITKs are leaking the info out, so everybody already knows. Might as well just get a stupid video out. But just makes them look like not professional. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't like it because I was like, man, I can see that that's not he didn't really fly there yet.
Yeah.
He's not. So anyway, his first match is going to be on Tuesday. Um, what do you think about the his time at Manchester United in the short amount of time that he had before they play West Ham this Tuesday? What do you think about his time at Manchester United as a manager?
I mean, in Manchester United it's going to be the challenges are way different. Just because you come from being an assistant coach to being the actual manager. At Manchester United, there was so much pressure, so much talk about Ten Hag and how he's the problem. Everybody wanted him out. So as soon as he leaves, everybody feels like that relief. And now everybody's kind of a little bit more loose, happier. Probably the next day, everybody at training was a bit more relaxed. And just one speech of him saying, "Look, guys, I'm here for a short time. I'm not going to be the manager. I'm just here to help as much as I can, go out, play freely, and do whatever you got to do and all that stuff to get yourself prepared." I don't think there was too much coaching at Manchester United just because he knew he's not going to stay there for a long time. Where the difference now is he has to take this team and actually coach and implement his own style and all that stuff. But he did an amazing job at Manchester United. I don't think he could. There's nothing else he could have done. I obviously got him. I don't know how many points he got them, but I think 2 or 3 wins at least in the Premier League, I believe. So, and that's absolutely amazing compared to what they did with Ten Hag for X amount of games. So I think he did really good at Manchester United, but I think the game completely changes now at Leicester City.
Yeah, I agree. He's not gonna have the same players. He's not gonna have the same infrastructure. He's essentially part of a team that's trying to just stay up, as opposed to a team that should be finishing in European spots. Um, so that's going to be his challenge right off the bat. He's got some good players, but I mean, he's got like Jamie Vardy. When Jamie Vardy's obviously not the same player that he was
Listen,
when
let's
they
be
won.
honest. Let's be honest. They got some shit players. That team is awful. When you look at that roster, that team's awful.
Yeah,
Like,
but
like, I'm not gonna say any certain names, but there's some center backs in that team that are
who
apt
don't you like?
to phase,
You don't like FaZe?
bruh. No chance. No, he is awful. Did you see the defending the past like 3 games? The guy automatically no, and no,
He's had some good moments, but I haven't seen him recently. I haven't.
no,
I honestly haven't watched
he
some of the games as recent.
it's been awful. It's been awful. Absolutely awful. So Ruud has a lot on his hands. Like, and it's gonna be interesting to see his style. Like, I don't know what specifics, and I don't think we saw it in Manchester United how he plays. So I think that's gonna be very interesting to me. Like him coming into a team a bit different where you're fighting for relegation. I feel like you got to kind of manage and coach a different way compared to, if you're in the middle of the table or if you're challenging for top four, there's less pressure. Because here, essentially, you can't lose. You can tie, you can win, but you just can't lose at this point because every single loss means teams are making up points. So it's going to be
Yeah,
interesting to see that aspect of it.
yeah. He's his battle is not going to be for European spots. His battle is going to be to stay up and stay in a spot throughout the season where they don't have to worry too much about the relegation battle. If he's somewhere around 12 to 15, I think they'll be really happy with that, especially this season, because obviously they don't want to keep Steve Cooper in to the point where it was like, oh shit, now it's too late. Now we can't get out of the relegation zone, and now we're gonna go right back down. So we talked about this, Dave. They were in the Premier League for like 6 or 7 years when they first came up, and then just recently they fell back, and now it's like they're trying to make decisions that are going to be like, how can we stay in the Premier League, and how can we be a team like Wolves or Fulham or some of those teams that now it's kind of guaranteed that all of those teams are going to stay in the Premier League. Maybe not win any trophies or anything like that, but just happy staying in the Premier League. Um, the interesting thing about Ruud is, like you said, we don't know what his style is. We don't know what his system is. He hasn't really been coaching long enough to be like, this is how I want to play. I wonder if he's one of those coaches that's maybe more like, he's going to have to be with Leicester. He's going to have to be one of those coaches that's like, let's see what I have. We're going to have to find a style or a formation that's just going to fit what we have right now. And then little by little, we're going to change it, as opposed to, a Ruben Amorim or an Enzo Maresca or a Pep Guardiola who's like, this is how I want to play regardless, and we're just going to have to make it work. Big Ainge, Big Ainge.
You that's your boy. You talk
That's my
about
boy, Big
boys.
Ainge.
You love Big Ange.
I love Big Ainge. I would love Big Ainge to get relegated, to get Tottenham relegated, and freaking lose his job and go coach in the middle of nowhere for the rest of his career.
Damn, that was dark.
I know that was a little dark. No, I didn't
That
say
was
it. It is what it is. Listen, I'm an Arsenal supporter. I'm an Arsenal, so of course I'm
yeah,
not
that's
gonna.
fair.
I want Tottenham to. I want
Yeah,
Tottenham to do as worse as bad as they possibly can. But you know me, I don't like Big Ange's tactics.
no, you
That's
don't.
that's that's my
You don't.
problem with Big Ange. But anyway,
So
back to
what?
Ruud.
What if Ruud plays a high line?
If Ruud plays a high line, that's fine. But if he only plays a high line and he's just getting toasted left and right, I'm gonna say the same thing about Big Ange. I do think Ruud's biggest challenge is gonna be he's been a great player, right? He was a legend for Manchester United, won a lot of trophies with Manchester United. He's clearly has the potential to be a good manager for Manchester United. Um, the hard part for him, I think, is going to be convincing the players that he's a good manager because of his beliefs, not just because of his persona and who he was as a player and the respect that he has as a player. Because that only works so long before players are just going to be like, well, if you don't have any ideas, I don't care. I don't care. You could be Lionel Messi, you could be Cristiano Ronaldo. It doesn't matter if you don't have the right ideas that are going to help us. Because we know he's going to get the respect from the players for what he's done on the pitch, but he needs to get the respect from the tactics and the way he sets them up. So I think that's going to be his biggest challenge. And that's going to be really hard for a team like Leicester, who's already struggling with the pieces that they have as far as their roster.
Again, man, that team. I, if I was Ruud and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, do I really want to take this job? Like, there's just so much, and I know it's an opportunity where it's like possibly once in a lifetime type of thing, Premier League. But man, that team is rough. When I watch them play, like I've never had a single percent of confidence in them this season when I watch. It's like they
Yeah, but
might get close, but like I don't know. I
it's
just don't think
it's
the quality's there.
it's a perfect job to take. I mean, you did well at Manchester United, which has given you the opportunity to coach in the Premier League at the perfect time in the season when now that we're about a third of the way through, teams are starting to get worried about where they're placing the bottom teams. And so you already know there's going to be two or three around this point. There's going to be two or three managers that are going to get sacked. Anybody who's close to the bottom in the relegation zone, they're going to get sacked because like, okay, well, we don't want to fight the relegation battle. We need somebody who's going to help keep us up. So this is the point where the timing fit perfectly for him because let's be honest, if he didn't get this Leicester job, in a few weeks, he would have had the opportunity to have the Everton job or the Southampton job or the Ipswich job or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's more teams that at some point are going to sack a manager that are going to look at Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think that it's perfect for him because he just finished coaching for the first time at a big club like Manchester United. So he's still running off that high of like, wow, I really enjoyed that. He literally was without a job for what, 2 weeks maybe?
Yeah.
Without a job for 2 weeks, and now they're like, boom, right back into the Premier League in a in a team that yeah, they're not great, but they don't need to be great. They just need to be less shit
Yeah.
than three
That is
teams
true.
in the Premier League. So in his perspective, he's looking at it like, okay, Southampton, Ipswich, Everton, who else? Wolves. Like there's a couple teams that you're like, can I be just a little bit better than the rest of those guys? If you don't have the confidence to say, yeah, I can be a little bit better than those teams, then obviously you're not in the right job in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think it's like I said, he just gets them to 15th, anywhere from 12th to 15th by the end of the season. They'll keep him on for one more season. They'll give him a little bit in the transfer window. He'll be a little bit more, be able to have a little bit more freedom to bring players in and again, like I said, be a little bit more specific about his system, and he gets the experience. And then from there, if he does manage to get a really good, some really good results and does really well, you never know. There's going to be one of the big 6 or 7 teams that's going to sack their manager and is going to be like, hey, let's give Ruud van Nistelrooy a chance.
Yeah. It's gonna be a challenge. I do not envy the guy because
Stressful.
that's a huge job for that team, and I think player for player they're the worst in the Premier League. And
Wow.
I would say probably Southampton. Even though Southampton now with the Tyler Gibbons guy, the guy's a baller, but I don't know, I would say they're probably the worst player for player. And then they have 2 or 3 injuries that some of their players are out for like the whole entire season now. So
Yeah.
it's
It's not going to
it's
be
gonna be
easy.
tough. No,
We
it's
know that. It's not
definitely
going to
not.
be easy. So let me ask you this to kind of just to wrap it up. Will he succeed at Leicester? Um, and by succeed, I mean, does this get him a better opportunity in the Premier League or a better opportunity abroad? Or will he fail and ultimately end up getting sacked, whether it's after 2 seasons, 3 seasons, whatever? Will this ultimately lead him to getting sacked?
Man, it's a tough one. It's tough. I The reason why it's tough is because he's coming in, like you said, it's a perfect time because some of the teams around them are sticking with their managers and they're struggling. So the confidence and the vibe is already at a low. And then when, like we always talk about the manager bounce, new manager bounce, if Ruud can get 2 or 3 games on the bounce of like let's say two draws and a win, whatever, that alone is going to get him higher up the table. So like that's a bare, and that's not unrealistic when you're talking about 2 draws. That's like you should be
Yeah.
able to get that. Um, but then, like I said, the team is looking rough. But I mean, let me see who do they
Well, he
play?
plays. They play West Ham on Tuesday, and West Ham
Oh,
is, I believe, 4 points above them. So if he beats West Ham, he goes to 1 point, 1 point underneath West Ham. West Ham
yeah,
is not a team that's doing well so far. We know this. Your boy J Lo. That is your boy. Your
yeah,
boy J Lo.
absolute shambles.
He's gonna. I mean, he's gonna get the sack pretty soon.
Oh, he's
The way
definitely
that they're
getting
playing.
sacked. He's definitely getting sacked. However, I will say West Ham, player for player, like so much better than Leicester. So that's gonna be the manager might not be, but man, player for player, just so. And they have West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, Wolves, and then Liverpool, and then Man City, and then Aston Villa.
So until they get to Liverpool and these next few matches, these are the ones that he needs to get as
Yeah.
many points as he possibly can,
Well,
knowing he's
he's
probably going to lose to Liverpool, Manchester City.
yeah. He- in those 4 games before the Liverpool game, if he doesn't get 6 points, so 2 wins, 2 losses, if he doesn't get that, I don't see him beating Liverpool. I don't see him beating Man City, Villa.
Yeah, but 6 points out of 12, that's better than the teams that are in the
Oh
relegation
yeah,
that are going to get.
yeah. But that's
So
like
then again, there you go.
yeah,
That's successful if you think about that,
yeah.
right?
If
If he gets let's say 1 or 2 points from
the
those, then you're
the
like,
big
ah, he's
one
still
is
in the same spot.
Wolves, the big one is Wolves, because that becomes like a 6 pointer in a way.
Yeah.
Um, but
So so you didn't
yeah,
answer the question. So you
I
didn't answer the question.
no, I didn't. I don't know. I think he. Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
now
answer the question.
you answer the question. Yeah,
I'm gonna answer the question. I'm gonna tell you this. I think he's gonna be successful in the fact that he's gonna keep Leicester up, and he's gonna have the opportunity to go to a better job. It might not be a Chelsea or a Tottenham or definitely not Manchester City or Arsenal, but it could be a Fulham, it could be a Forest, it could even be as high as like an Aston Villa. In my opinion, I don't think they're gonna let go of Unai anytime soon. But I think if he can climb up that way to a team that is no longer really a relegation battle team and more so a team that's like, can we think about getting into European spots? I think he can do that. Like I said, he just has to be less shit than 3 of the teams that are in the Premier League, and I think he
yeah,
can do that.
yeah. I mean, looking at it now, Southampton with 5 points. They're already 5 points ahead. Like five Southampton. I, don't- that's a whole nother ball game, but they just got to be better than 2 more teams.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
and we talk about JLo getting fired. If 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 somehow everything aligns and West Ham struggled this season, and they're like, you know what, we finished like 14th, 15th with the current manager in the summer, and they're like, oh, let's sack him. Then you can see Ruud potentially taking that over. You never know. Like you said, like I would say that's a step up in terms of financials. London, a lot better players and all that. So, and in West Ham,
Yeah,
like we talked about last year, David Moyes was taking them to Europe every single year for the most part, won them a European Conference League, and now look where they're at. So who knows? Maybe Ruud is the guy to take them back to the glory days at one point.
we'll see.
Yeah,
But he's got a lot of work at Leicester.
a
Got a
lot
lot
of
of work at
work.
Leicester. So, that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.